There you go.
All right, I hereby open the session of the Springfield Planning Commission, acting in its role as the Committee for Citizen Involvement. Could we have a roll call, please? Here.
Present.
Here. Here.
This is Steve. I'm here. You hear me okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have my mic on. Sorry about that. So, yeah, I can hear you, Commissioner Schmunk.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gomez Hernandez
Here.
and Commissioner Depew is absent.
All right, before we get into the agenda item for this meeting, I would like to take the opportunity to formally recognize outgoing Commissioners Buck and Weber. Earlier this evening, we had a reception in their honor, but I would like to extend thanks for their service and leadership throughout their terms on the Planning Commission. Commissioner Weber completed his term in December, and Council selected Commissioner Buck as the City Councilor for Ward 5. I also extend a special welcome to our new commissioners, Commissioner Gomez Hernandez and Commissioner Depew. Yes, who's not with us tonight. Do we want to take a few minutes and just introduce ourselves? Starting with you, Pat, or Commissioner Green. Oh, maybe how
Hello, new people. I am Pat Greenwell, Planning Commissioner. Welcome to the Planning Commission. Good luck getting used to the microphones.
And I am Chair Driggs, and I've been serving for one year and a month.
Welcome aboard, Chair Thompson, Seth Thompson, and been here for a couple of years. So welcome. Thank you.
Hello, Kelly Ackland. I live in Ward 4. I work as a tenant rights advocate for a local nonprofit, and I've lived here in Springfield for 3 years. Glad to have you on board.
Well, thank you all for your warm welcomes, and I'd just like to say that this is a very exciting moment for me, and I hope to be a part of you guys and be a part of the Planning Commission for many years to come and to serve Springfield. Thank you.
And then online Vice Chair Schmunk.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've been on the Planning Commission for a couple of years plus a bit. Appreciate the folks, all of you, volunteering your time. Thank you.
Okay, now I would like to ask members of the audience who are joining us by phone or online to please keep yourselves on mute until you are called to provide public testimony. This is a meeting where the public may attend but not provide comment. There will be opportunities to address the Planning Commission later tonight in our regular meeting, which follows the Committee for Citizen Involvement session, and that will be around 7 o'clock. And I now call agenda item review annual report on community engagement.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sandy Belson, and I am the Comprehensive Planning Manager. And so tonight we are asking you to review this draft report and add or modify any of the reflections on outreach that has occurred this past year. And so along with me, we have here in the council chambers, Chelsea Hartman. She manages the Climate Friendly Area Project. Monica Sather, who does a lot of support in terms of community engagement, and she actually was the primary author of the report before you tonight. And then Katie Carroll is a housing analyst, and so she is involved with a lot of the housing programs and presents before council quite a bit. And then online, we have Drew Larson, who is our senior transportation planner. And so he is also available to participate in the discussion this evening. So this work session uh, is, um, is an opportunity to assess what worked well this past year, to identify areas for improvement, and determine priorities for use of limited financial and staff resources to provide people the opportunity to shape comprehensive land use and planning decisions. So we are prepared to make edits to this draft report based on your guidance. And then we would share this finalized report with City Council in a communication packet memo so they can see an overview of what we've done and some of the thoughts that staff and the commission have had in terms of the engagement efforts. So this past year, we had two primary projects that included community engagement, the climate-friendly areas, and then the housing and design initiative. And then we also in your packet included write-ups from housing and transportation programs because they also do a lot of engagement and tie into some of the planning projects. And we also highlighted Springfield's ongoing engagement with the American Indian and Alaska Native community. So I don't have much more of a presentation, but I would like to open it up and just hear from you all, the Committee for Citizen Involvement, any of your own reflections or some of what we may have included in the report that really stuck out to you in terms of what worked well, lessons learned, what we could maybe do better in the future, and then considerations to think about as we go into 2026, this new year. So with that, I'll open it up and also staff can engage in responding to questions or making some comments as we go through this.
Do any commissioners have any comments or questions?
Yes. Huge shout out to everybody trying to involve the community. Witnessed personally a very busy booth at the Springfield Block Party. Citizens engaging, staff engaging, and certainly want to recognize that whoever was a part of that probably happens outside of regular work hours. And the community seemed to be digging it. And just again, a shout out. I read through the report. I really didn't see anything noteworthy to correct or amend. Beautiful work.
And I'll just echo what Commissioner Greenwell said. And thank you, Monica, for putting together this very extensive packet. I'm just really excited by all of the engagement that we've done over the past year. I also don't have any suggested changes.
I'd just like to respond on the block party. So 2 years ago, Drew Larson helped put together a table for the transportation area along with Kelsey Moore, who she's an employee with Lane Council of Governments, but is really primarily focused on Springfield area. And they were overwhelmed with attendance. And so based on how much involvement there was at that, we decided this year that we needed to take advantage of that opportunity and do more. And so I think Haley and Monica had put together that other booth that focused more on housing issues and housing and design. And so I think it really is a successful way to engage. And just wonder if Drew or Monica wanted to add anything more on that.
I could jump in here, Sandy, if you don't mind. Good evening, Commission. This is Drew Larson. I am the Senior Transportation Planner. This past year, I actually only attended as an attendee. I had a birth of a child, and so I was out on leave. But yeah, Kelsey Moore did a fantastic job organizing providing bike valet both this year and last year for attendees. And it was widely successful for transportation options folks. We had Safe Routes to School doing a mini pop-up Learn to Ride. They brought down their Strider bicycles. They did bring down some pedal bikes, so kids had just an activity area right there in that south parking lot, just south of City Hall. Cascadia Mobility, the Peace Health Rides bike share operators were there promoting bike share here in Springfield and regionally. We had Shift Community Cycles there. So it was just a large transportation options and just letting Springfield residents know that there are other options out there other than driving alone and providing resources. And I thought this year was really well attended. We were out on the street. I could barely talk to my colleagues who were running the booths. It was really great. And then I did talk to Haley and Monica briefly. They were also slammed and busy. Yeah, great opportunity to reach the community.
Good evening. I think it really emphasizes go to where people are at, and wonderfully that it is near City Hall, but I've never been to something with that steady of a stream of people who really cared and the energy of that. Just seeing how much people care about Springfield felt amazing. There's a lot to learn and a lot to love. I'd say things to love. Having an opportunity for people who may not have time or resources to respond to a survey, at least have an interactive moment where, hey, this is what I really think. A lot of community members felt like it was just fun to look at a map as light as it was, as late as it was. So I'd say a companion lesson learned to that is if something goes into the evening hours as late as it did unexpectedly, better lighting at a booth or a table, even for papers on the table for folks to write names. Just hadn't thought of it, not expecting to be there almost until 10 p.m. But what an energy. Something to learn and love is that Drew and Kelsey and partner agencies were all together. So if someone had a question, comment, we weren't sending them to, well, you'll have to come back Monday. Just that continuous thought of we are here in service and you have a whole team here, even if not about our topic. So keeping that in mind. That's included as a lesson learned or things to move as we move forward, just remembering it's not just going to be about your project. Sometimes if people care and are excited, what can I do with a project, or what about this on my neighbor's street? So just knowing it's not always about the project, it's about community. And I'd say that's something to celebrate. Hopefully we can go back another year.
Actually, a question, Monica. Sorry, real quick clarification. Thank you for that. Oh, sorry, can I speak? Thank you for the really robust report. I loved how you provided, whoever wrote the report provided a great kind of synopsis of all the mediums and all of the basically all the access points, whether you use constant contact, email, surveys. I was curious I don't have that in front of me, but in the matrix that you produced for all of the major events, it said the approximate number of people who signed up who were interested in the event. Was that people who signed up on the sign up sheet to be part of, constant contact, upcoming newsletters, or how was that recorded, if you recall, if I'm phrasing that correctly?
Without the matrix in front of me, it would represent a clipboard being brought with a space provide if you'd like to be signed up to subscribe to newsletters, project updates. So it was very clear. It wasn't, are you interested? And then following your recommendation last year, a direct email from a staff member went a long way, I would say, versus just, okay, now you're subscribed. Here's something from our service. It was like a thank you. Here's a real person to the project. So
I saw that. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Cool. That answers my question. I thought I had something else. One thing I will say, one thing I have noticed, at least for people like my friends and family, we have gotten very much email atrophy in the past. Not that anything you're doing is wrong, but as a result, especially in the local businesses in downtown Eugene, we look at the message boards. I think one of the most active ones I've seen is Oakshire Brewing. If we want to see a concert or an upcoming speaking event, or even an event at the brewery, they're very active about posting there, and that's kind of what both me and my family look to those kind of community centers. And so if I would have seen some stuff from the city of Springfield, I unfortunately missed the block party, but I would love to have gone, but it wasn't on my calendar. So there was, I think, a note in the report where you noted that some of the local businesses were more friendly to flyers than maybe some of the more corporate ones, and that's totally understandable. So I'm really appreciate you kind of doing that legwork to do that exploratory work. But yeah, more posters, I guess, in local businesses. I'd love to see. Yeah, thank you.
I have some thoughts that aren't fully fleshed out, so please excuse an uncohesiveness kind of ramble of consciousness. I am particularly interested in housing related projects, and so I signed up for the housing newsletter, and I love that. I love getting updates and knowing what's going on. I think the way that we have the housing newsletter, other departments have some newsletters. Springfield, Oregon Speaks lets residents stay up to date on what's going on in different committees and different projects and that kind of thing. So, love the newsletters, would love to continue getting more updates. To an extent, there is always the email fatigue. So, like, where's the balance between updates and just like drowning in your inbox? Um, I also loved the work with the Springfield History Museum, both exhibits that they ran last year. The housing one in the first half was, I found it really, really interesting. I love how they partnered, and the city partnered with the Fair Housing Council of Oregon to share that information that affects so many different people, not just tenants, but it affects home buyers as well. And then, you know, the sub one was really cool too. This is kind of going off topic now. I just love how the History Museum, like, you wouldn't think that going to an exhibit about your local utility company is anything to get exciting about, but they do such a good job at bringing all these different pieces together and making it interesting. Um, I guess an area for improvement that I have is I stay up to date with city projects and what's going on because I go out and I look for that information. Like the housing newsletter, the email newsletter, for example, I only found that because I was clicking around on the city website and signed up for it and a few others. But I found it because I went looking. And I feel like other than the block party, I feel like there's a lack of the city getting information out to residents that aren't trying to actively stay engaged themselves. So I don't have any ideas right now of channels to open or to further engage with. But I would like to see more outreach, I guess, more ways of engaging with the community, so that they know about these things that affect them. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know that these are affecting them. So that's all I have. Thank you.
And then online, Vice Chair Schmunk, did you have any comments or questions?
The only thing I would share is, with regard to Springfield, Oregon Speaks. I mean, it's great information, very detailed. I just wonder if folks get in there and feel like they're in a quagmire. I don't know what the answer to that is. I've talked about summaries before, and there's a summary available, but I'm not sure that folks can pick that out readily. So that would be my main comment. So thank you.
I just wanted to add to that. Vice Chair Schmuck gave me another thought of the vocabulary can sometimes be really technical. You guys are subject matter experts and you know what it means, but I think coming to the average resident and thinking about their the average literacy and comprehension level, they might not understand some of these really technical professional language, and so just making it a little less stiff, a little more casual and understandable to everybody.
Chair Driggs, I'd like to follow up on Springfield, Oregon Speaks because it's something we've been talking about is how we're using Springfield, Oregon Speaks for our project pages. So both climate friendly areas, housing and design initiative, and then the floodplain projects were all the information that we have on those projects is on Springfield, Oregon Speaks, whereas in the past, we had created a page on the city website. And so like the Natural Resources Project, which has not had a lot of public involvement this year, but that still has a web page that has that project information. And so as we highlighted in the report, there are some pros and cons to using Springfield, Oregon Speaks for the project pages as different from like the meetings for the Planning Commission. So I don't know, Commissioner Schmunk, if you are talking about the specifically meetings or projects or all of it when you're talking about Springfield, Oregon Speaks, but would like to explore that with you all a little bit more in terms of the benefits of using Springfield, Oregon Speaks, and then the trade-offs of not being able to do as much formatting with that as we could like on a web page. So any thoughts on that or exploring how we're using Springfield, Oregon Speaks a little bit more?
I would say it's maybe a little bit confusing for me as a resident that there's Springfield, Oregon Speaks, where you have stuff about like the Planning Commission and a couple other groups, but then other information is on the primary city website. And so if I was just a resident trying to get information, I'd kind of maybe be confused about like, why are some meetings and agendas on this website and some are on others? And there's old project pages on the primary one and maybe just a little confusing. If things could all be put into one place, I think that'd be great.
I've only used Springfield Oregon Speaks as a planning commissioner. Didn't know it existed before. And so I don't have the clarity of seeing it as a resident would. But that said, I think even using it as a commissioner, it's still unclear what is for me and what would be for me if I wasn't. Just going to the homepage and then having some more general invitation to a non-city person, not city hall person, a resident being like, hey, this stuff over here is for me. This stuff over here is for someone that works with the city directly. I can only guess that that's what I would see if I went there as a citizen. A little more guidance for that kind of person.
And did you have any more comments, Vice Chair Schmunk?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I'd just add that I think it's important to point out that the information there, I think city staff does a great job of dissecting it in a way that you can sort of pull it apart. For example, I mean, this, and maybe this is part of my concern is, I mean, what was this packet? 85 pages, something like that. Somebody can correct me, but I mean, city council sometimes even gets more than that, a lot more. So I guess if folks go in there, I don't want them to be scared off. I'd like them to have some sort of comfort page, if you will, that they can read about what's going on in layman's terms, as Commissioner Auckland said, something in a little more layman's terms, and then and then maybe a way to then dig into what's going on that particular session. I mean, I know there limited resources, so I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, so I mean, that'd be my only comment. Thank you.
Yeah, just to branch off that, I will say one thing I've had to learn as a commissioner is what I need to look at, what's most critical. And what I learned early on was to look at the memo first, because it's a synopsis of everything that is going to be discussed. But it's not necessarily called out. It's just I know to look for it. And then for a more comprehensive perspective on what's going to be a part of the discussion, I know to look at the appendices or exhibits, I guess. So that's kind of like learned, but I had to figure it out. So maybe just to branch off that, if we could kind of point to have some sort of a header or something that says, here's what we're talking about today, memo. I don't know, something to make it more obvious, I guess.
Any more comments from the commissioners? Any more comments from city staff? Okay. Then I hereby adjourn the Committee for Citizen Involvement. Vice Chair Schmunk, we're just going to roll right into the regular meeting.
Thank you.
All right, so I hereby open the regular meeting of the Springfield Planning Commission. Did Commissioner Depew, is he online? Okay, so there's no change to attendees, so we'll skip roll call and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I now call agenda item the public hearing on the capital improvement program. And do I roll right into the opening the public hearing? Okay. Okay. And we will now hear from Stan Petrov.
Hello, Commissioners. Stan Petrov here with the CIP update. Just as kind of looking back at where we've been, I came to the Planning Commission work session November 4th and presented the CIP, and we had a discussion there, mostly answered questions. I then went to the council for a work session there on the 24th of November. Similar type of deal. They asked a lot of questions, answered questions, didn't really have any feedback, and they, they liked what I presented. One change they did ask was that in my citizens request spreadsheet that had all the different requests from the public, that I show how many instances of different segments. So there were some streets where we got multiple requests from people. So, I had asterisks where there were multiples, but now I've got, 1 request, 4 requests, 6 requests, and then I'm going to present it back to them when I go back with it ranked in order of most requests to least. I had it alphabetical and I kind of like it that way, but I'm going to sort it the other way as well. So, but as far as the CIP goes, it's still the same. There's literally no changes. There was a project update sheet in the transportation section where there are a few projects that weren't shown. I added those, but as far as the planning and, all the project pages, it's all still the same. So basically here, just, I wasn't necessarily going to present anything unless anybody had specific questions. I've got all the documents ready if we want to bring something up, but basically just asking for a planning commission order to go back to the city council and have them approve it.
All right. I will now open the public hearing regarding the capital improvement program. Please remember to keep yourself on mute until you are called to provide public testimony. If you are online and you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom using the reactions feature, or press *9 if joining by phone. When called upon to speak, please state your name and mailing address and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone online?
No one, we only have staff online and in chambers, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So seeing as there are no public comments, The public hearing is now closed. And do any commissioners have any questions for Stan or comments on the capital improvement program? Commissioner Greenwell.
Yeah, I was at that November 24th meeting and got to listen to the presentation again and was encouraged by the involvement the council had in asking questions and reading into it. And certainly I could sit there and be like, hey, I've heard this before. This sounds pretty good. And I thought it was all very concise and the council seemed receptive to it.
Commissioner Ackland.
Just two questions. The citizen request summary that's included in the agenda packet, when was that last updated?
The most recent one has been updated as of maybe a week and a half or so ago.
Nice, okay.
Yeah.
Second question, how do residents submit requests that get added to that list?
There's a form on the website. And kind of like I was listening earlier in the meeting, the previous meeting, about how we get it out there. And I was actually interviewed by, I think it was KZI, and went out onto the news to solicit that. But we also put out social media posts, to get the public aware of it and to get their feedback. And so, yeah, there's a link on the website is how it typically works. And residents will put in their address and their name so that we know that they're a legit resident. And it's one request per resident, or you can request multiple segments, but you know what I mean? That we won't get someone that just wants their street and they put in like 5 or 10 requests, redundant requests. So that's basically how it works. We try to put it out to as many people as we can, put it on the website, social media, news, often interviews, and puts that out there. Some people still watch news. And then, yeah, people can just go and they go to that form on the website, put in the information and send it. Also, I get emails sometimes. I get phone calls. That's pretty common. It's almost once a week or so. I'll get at least an email or phone call because my information is also on the website, and on social media they put my email and my phone number out there. So I log those in myself if we get them, or sometimes through projects we get requests too, or you might be in a public engagement meeting and someone wants to talk about another street when we're talking about like Mill Street or something like that. So yeah.
The link on the website, is it easy to find, or do you have to go looking through Department Works? I'm thinking like, when you first go on the header, there's like, I want to,
Yeah.
is it one of those like, I want to
You have to
submit
drill down a little bit. I want to say, I don't know if we do this or not, but I want to say during the time period, which is like August through the end of the fall, is when we're pretty much, wanting those requests and stuff. We put it closer to the front of the website, but I'm not totally sure on that. But I could check that out the next time to like put it right on the front of the page, for maybe 6 months or something like that. It's maybe 2 or 3 clicks. You have to go through engineering and then capital CIP, capital project improve link.
Why is it August through fall that you want those?
Well, we'll take them at any point, but that's, kind of when we're updating, we're doing the work of actually updating the CIP. So the rest of the year, we just kind of collect them as they come in. And then at that point, we're starting to talk with staff about which projects we're going to start looking at in the next couple of years. And we actually do the work of updating the CIP. And it's just, there's got to be some point when we ask for feedback from the public. If we just constantly did it all the time, I think people would just kind of, drown it out. So we typically do it, 6 months to a year in advance to try to refresh everybody's memory of it. It's there 24/7 every day of the year, so you could go in at any point. But yeah, we kind of do the blasting out on social media and everything about 6 months before this process. Open to feedback though, if you have suggestions or improvements that we can make.
Yeah, just thinking as a layman, if I wanted to ask for traffic calming or report potholes on my street, I don't think I would immediately know to go to engineering and then something else. So just thinking about the accessibility of being able to find that easy and having it in
Yeah, so
understandable language.
potholes and kind of more maintenance type of stuff is different. Those are service requests, and there's a different section for that. And yeah, the public gets confused. So sometimes I get things like that. I get things that are out of our jurisdiction. I get things for ODOT, like on Main Street, because people don't know they're in Springfield and they think it's Springfield, right? Well, that's ODOT. So I get things from other, other agencies and other internal departments, and then I forward those on. Vice versa, ops will sometimes get things where it's like, yeah, that's not really a maintenance, that's more of a full rebuild of the entire street. So a lot of what we do is just educating the public through communication of, you know, where to go and who to talk to, basically. But what the CIP report and document is really the bigger projects. They're like the big streets, the bridges, things like that.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I apologize. I maybe didn't mention. I was specifically talking about the citizen request summary
okay, yeah.
list. So that's kind of what I was wondering is how citizens are able to put stuff on that, how accessible that link is on the website to
Yeah.
put in those minor maintenance repairs. Yeah.
Yeah, so those won't show up on that form and they shouldn't really go through that link. The minor stuff is more of like operations. So there's like service requests and those get logged in operations and they'll go out and actually, oh, there's potholes over here that need to be fixed or sidewalk, tree trimming, you know, things like that, signs that are damaged, LED lights that are going out. We had a situation there where the lights were changing color and they're going out. And so we had, you know, a place that they can go to. We're actually putting that out on social media. Please tell us where the lights are going out so we can get out there and fix them because we can't see every light in the city. So yeah, there's multiple places for different things. And so anything that's, you know, a bigger multi-million-dollar project, that's what this request form and what that spreadsheet is for. Things like pothole repair and sidewalk repair, things like that are more minor and they tend to be like an operations type of request, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's what I was talking about, the spreadsheet that has the potholes and street repair and
Yeah, it does.
signs.
Yeah, people will. Yeah, they'll say like the street's got potholes, but what they mean is what they're saying is that some of those streets are full rebuilds.
Mhm.
Like a single individual pothole is something that maintenance would take care of, but some of the streets they say on the spreadsheet like pothole repair, but really what it means to us is that when they get on that spreadsheet, it's that street is so bad that it's beyond like a pothole repair. Really, what they're saying is like there's a base failure, there's surface failure, you know, there's basically the street's failing. So we translate that. We kind of, you know, if I know the street and I'll go look at it. If I don't, you know, I can say, okay, yeah, that's a newer street that just needs a fix versus that needs to go in my spreadsheet and into the CIP because it's a big project. So the public doesn't really know the difference. They just, yeah, they might call, you know, a pothole when we would call it a full pavement repair type of project. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
yeah.
Did you have any comments?
I would just like to say that the CIP is very comprehensive and it looks like it took a lot to really come all together. And uh, yeah, I guess it was really comprehensive, really nice to read. And I like the summaries of each project specifically. I like that it gave a little background of what each thing is going to kind of give out. And I was wondering, when it comes to choosing which projects are going to be completed first, do we have a general timeline of that yet, or is that
Of
really
when
gonna
the
be?
process of choosing or
Yeah, of the
um
project listed.
yeah, it kind of happens sporadically. It's not like a cyclical thing necessarily. The CIP is, and we do some project selection in there, but really the order and the ranking kind of comes with like funding when we have a grant or something like that. Or, yeah, then so for a specific grant, we might then rank our projects to figure out which project we're going to go for. And then we go to council and planning commission sometimes to get feedback on is this the right selection? I helped with that last year on our MPO funding. So we had, you know, a pot of money that we were expecting to get, and we go to our projects list, and as staff, we kind of have a pretty good idea of what we think we need, and then we'll go to council and present that. And council sometimes says, yeah, let's do this one or that one, or they ask questions and want to know why. But we've got a scoring spreadsheet that I've created that we put points in there, and basically the projects that have the most bang for the buck rise to the top. So the more categories that they hit, then, you know, that gives them more points, and then they move up. So but yeah, that certain funding happens cyclically, like the MPO, and then other funding it can come, you know, more randomly. But yeah, council asked about that too. One of the counselors wanted to know, you know, a little bit more about how projects get selected. I think I get that all the time of like, well, you got all these needs. How, you know, how do you sort through that? And And a lot of the funding has certain strings attached to it. So it can only be used for this or it can only be used for that. And so that's the confusing part is like right now we have some funding for new construction that adds capacity, but yet we've got all these streets that are failing that we need to repair, but we don't have the bucket of money to repair the failing streets. So we're going to be out putting in a new street, which is needed. It's going to connect, a developing area and take traffic off of side streets where people are going through neighborhoods. And it's also going to have a separated 12-foot bike path. So it's a nice, good connection between like Daisy and Main Street for bikes and peds. But some people in the community are going to wonder why are we building this new road, a new connection when we've got ones in front of my house that are failing, So it comes down to, this is complicated. All the funding comes from different places and has different requirements associated with it. So
And when it comes to the wastewater infrastructure itself, um, w- I know that council also talked about this, but when a street is built, I mean, people can see that. And I was just wondering, when it comes to telling the public that we're putting money into our sewer infrastructure, what are kind of the ways that you see yourselves in the future once we actually start the construction process of informing the public that we're going ahead and repairing infrastructure that's already underground?
yeah, I think when we update master plans, that gets out there. A lot of the public probably is through these meetings and stuff. See, on social media, there's a little bit of, information out there, but yeah, it just comes down to every connection with the public that we make of educating them on that. I try to bring that up routinely when I talk about, even when I'm talking about streets and stuff, I'll mention that sometimes, but yeah, we've got a lot of older concrete pipes like most cities do, and they eventually start crumbling in on themselves. So we TV the lines to see, inspect, and know which ones are. But we just recently updated the master plans. We have a pretty good idea of where and what. It's just a matter of putting the projects together and doing the work. But um, yeah, there's always more public involvement and education that can happen. But we do our best to just try to, yeah, do that as much as we can.
And then Vice Chair Schmunk.
Yes, Stan, so it's maybe a little off topic for you, but I'm curious about being able, I know you said you use a spreadsheet to keep all these needs under control. Do you have, I mean, is there other resources out there or some app of some kind or something that you know about that, I mean, when the budget comes around, is there an ask for something better to keep track of all these disparate needs?
Yeah, there are different systems, and we've looked at some of that. We have one for our streets, for our pavement. It's a pavement management system that all the streets go into. For the wastewater, it's more of the master plan. But yeah, the streets, we last year maintenance did worked with a private company to drive all the streets, and they basically thumped them with a falling weight deflectometer. So a van that drives along, it's got cameras all around it. It records all the cracks, and then they feed all this data into AI, and then AI basically produces a report that prioritizes all the, it spits out all the streets. So these are the ones you should do first. It even gives you a cost estimate of how much it's going to cost per year. You can go back and see the council meeting when that was presented. There was a presentation that was given and a lot of figures, and Ben did that last year. So as far as the streets go, that's one of the main tools that we use. My spreadsheet is more of when we get down to we pull the data out of that. We pull um, citizens requests, council requests. We take all these various sources of information and then kind of boil it down to like say a dozen projects or so, and then that spreadsheet kind of scores them to get to the final project or two. But leading up to that, there's more than just the spreadsheet that I've got. There's that pavement management system and all that data that's done every so many years. I think it's every 2 years or so we redo that, maybe 4 years. Um, Stormwater happens just kind of project by project basis, more or less. It's usually tied to a transportation project. We're looking at starting to do some standalone stormwater projects because of mandates that are coming down about shade requirements and things like that. So, but yeah, it's really the majority of the work is around wastewater and transportation projects.
Okay, second question. So as far as grants, trying to gather grants or other monies available. Are you using any tools like AI to crawl through available funds that maybe you might not otherwise come across?
I don't know that we're using AI yet for that. We just hired a transportation planner, Emma Newman. I don't know if everybody's met her, but yeah, she's very good at looking at where the funding is available, and some of it does come down to staff resources. We only have so many project managers right now, and we're training up some younger staff to do that as well. Because even though consultants can do majority of the work and they can design the projects for us, it still takes someone on our end to manage the projects to make sure that they're meeting city standards and efficiently using the funding, checking the invoices and things like that. So in the past, I've heard this before I came on board, but we're bringing in more grants and more money than we could manage. So the limitation wasn't getting the money, and it was more of can we manage the projects, and also do we have the match for the funding. So sometimes we can find grants, but then we have to match 10% of that. So even though we might get 10 million or a big amount of money, that ends up being like $1 million for us, and then we might not have the match. And it's kind of where we're at right now with the gas tax revenue kind of shrinking and the expenses going up. We just don't have enough money that we can match a lot of the grants, but there are some that we can. So yeah, but Emma's specifically the one that's looking into that. So I don't
Thank
think
you.
we are though.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners? Okay, then thank you, Stan.
Yeah.
Are we ready for a motion to the order to approve a recommendation on the capital improvement program?
I motion that we approve the capital improvements program. I move to approve the order of attachment 4 of the agenda packet for this item. I recommend the City Council approve draft 2027 to 2031 capital improvement program. As oh yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All right, I will now call for the vote. Could we have a roll call?
Sure. Chair Driggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Ackland,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenwell,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmunk,
Aye.
and Commissioner Gomez Hernandez.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 in favor and 0 opposed. Next up is reviewing the minutes from our last meeting, which was November 4th. And
Thank you.
I believe everyone should have a copy in front of them too as well. Are there any corrections to the minutes as published in the packet? All right, there are no corrections, so the minutes from November 4th, 2025 are approved. We will now take business from the audience. This is the time in our agenda for the public to provide testimony on any topic relevant to the Planning Commission, not otherwise on our agenda tonight. Is there anyone online other than staff?
There are no participants from the public, either online or in chambers.
Okay. Then we will move on to hearing business from the Planning Commission. Are there any reports of council actions? Commissioner Greenwell.
Yes. As mentioned before, I was at the council's November 24th meeting where we had the presentation on the CIP. Were also quite a few things going on at that meeting. It apparently happens every year that the committees get topped off, and there were a lot of people in the audience that were ready to volunteer. I'm just going to go through the list quickly. Springfield History Museum Advisory Committee, the Arts Commission, Community Development Advisory Committee, Planning Commission, Fabian was there, Library Advisory Board. Then the council got into, again, the capital improvement review. There was a wonderful conversation about how to provide more compensation to the city manager, who everyone agreed was currently underpaid by state standards. And then there was a report from Allie Campbell about the Glenwood Master Plan update, which is moving along and looks pretty promising. And that's it.
All right. Are there any other reports of council actions? Any from you, Vice Chair Schmunk?
No, thank you.
All right. The next item is business from the next item is election of Planning Commission officers and committee liaisons. So we will now elect the following offices or liaisons. The first up for election is Chair of the Planning Commission. Is there any interest in chair? I am still interested in acting as chair, so. Any interest in vice chair? Commissioner Schmunk, are you still interested in being vice chair?
Yes, I'm happy to continue that. Let me, how about, I mean, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'd like to have for each role, maybe those folks that are in the role already sort of describe what they, what it's about. I'll say for vice chair, that role involves, of course, backing up the chair in the chair's absence. Also, it's both a Monday and a Tuesday night, Monday being the pre-meeting, which is usually, 30 minutes. So anyway, I'll just share that. But yes, I'm happy to continue to serve as that. Thank you.
Next up is council liaison. So that would be the liaison to city council. Could we have a brief description of what that role is?
Sure. So it had been filled by Commissioner Weber. As you know from our earlier reception, Counselor Buck is the liaison to the Planning Commission, and then we typically have a person on the Planning Commission who liaises to the City Council. So it's really up to those two how they want to communicate with each other, what frequency that would be, or what kind of that role is. From my experience, it's not been very demanding, but it's really what you want to make of it. We do typically ask each commissioner on a rotating basis to attend a council meeting so that you are still in touch with that, but that, you could change that and that council liaison could do more of that and then report back to you, but that's something that's really up to the commission how you handle that.
Thank you. Yes, Sarah. Oh, okay. So do I hear from anyone of any interest in being the council liaison?
I would be interested.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else interested? Okay. Next is the liaison to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I currently am in the role for a liaison to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. They meet every other month, usually on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah. Wednesday, once every other month. And it's a lot of people who are really passionate about like biking and improving biking access and pedestrian access and transportation in our community. Is there anyone interested in being the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee liaison?
Other than you?
Chair, I'll just say I am I think the only commissioner without an assignment. So as a preface to everybody, if somebody wants to hand over their assignment because they're tired of their responsibility, I can step in. So if you are tired of the extra responsibility, I'm happy to take that from you, but no pressure.
I'm fine still serving as liaison. It's a good group. All right. Next up is the Community Development Advisory Committee liaison. And I believe that's the liaison to the Community Development Advisory Committee, mainly focuses on the CDBG funding.
That's me. Great group, great cause, for want of a better term. How to best distribute grant money to improve the physical characteristics of some lower end housing in the community. I've been on that. We think we met 3 times last year. We could have met more. And I'm willing to stay on that. It's been a lot of fun, and it feels good contributing to that.
Is there anyone else interested in that liaison role? Okay, then since Commissioner Greenwell is still interested, you will continue acting as liaison for that. So just to reiterate, Chair Driggs is volunteering to continue in the chair position. Vice Chair Schmunk is volunteering to continue in the vice chair position. Commissioner Gomez Hernandez has volunteered for the council liaison position. Chair Driggs has volunteered for the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee liaison, and Commissioner Greenwell has volunteered for the Community Development Advisory Committee liaison role. If there is no further discussion on the nominees, I will call for a vote. Please vote by stating the name of the nominee you are voting for. There's only one person nominated for each role. So declare by consensus. So we just vote as a group to approve those. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, can I have a roll call?
Sure. So Chair Driggs, do you support the slate as presented?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Schmunk?
Aye.
Commissioner Greenwell?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
Commissioner Ackland?
Aye.
Commissioner Gomez Hernandez?
Aye.
All right. So the chair will be Commissioner Driggs, vice chair will be Commissioner Schmunk, council liaison will be Commissioner Gomez Hernandez, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee liaison will be Commissioner Driggs, and Community Development Advisory Committee liaison will be Commissioner Greenwell. Is there any other business from the Planning Commission?
Let me add just quickly, Chair Driggs, that you're doing a great job. I appreciate you taking that role. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business? The Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee met last on the 9th of December. The committee approved an end of year report summarizing the work they completed this past year, which they are planning to present to City Council in February. So you may see them present in February. The Springfield Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee and Eugene's Active Transportation Committee wrote a joint memo detailing bicycle and pedestrian upgrades that are needed to improve the connectivity between the two cities in key areas like MLK Junior Boulevard to Centennial and the area between both cities near Alton Baker and the Glenwood area. I believe, I'm not sure who they submitted that to, but they composed a memo, and I know Drew has it and knows it's out there. And then the Walk and Roll Springfield will be starting up in March. And that's it from BPAC. Okay. So since there is no further business from the Planning Commission, we will move into any business from Development and Public Works.
The only thing I have to share for you tonight is that your next meeting will be February 18th. So no more meetings this month and not first thing in February. The 18th is a Wednesday because President's Day is on Monday, which means council meets Tuesday, which means you meet Wednesday. So make a note of that, and Sarah will be in touch with the meeting invitations and agendas and all of that, but just so you have that in mind. And thank you for all of your service.
All right. And with that, I will now adjourn the Planning Commission regular meeting.